at least that we have right now. So right now we produce electricity for many, many different things. AI is a very big deal in terms of the future. China is building electric facilities, big, bold electric facilities. And you know how they're being fired up? With coal. They're being fired up with coal. And we're going to build bigger and better ones. People like Hussein that are doing the same thing as he is. I'll bet they don't do it as well because I know how he does it, but they're doing a lot of things. The problem is they can't get their permits because I say build the plant with the building. So with the structure, build the plant, because if you go into grids are old. So they said, that's a great idea. In other words, build your electric facility alongside of your plant. And you could have extra output if you want, because once you build it, you can make it larger pretty inexpensively. You could have extra output, which you'll sell to the public, but build it with the plant, and people are loving that idea. So we're going to have a lot of fun making America great again, and it's going to happen, I think, very, very quickly. It's already happened. So I would say this, and this has been pretty openly reported by the news. There's never been anything like what's happened in the list since we won the election. Couple of months since we won the election, the whole perception of the whole world is different. People from other countries have called me. They said, thank you. Thank you. The perception of the whole world is different. We're going to have to settle some big problems that are going on right now. We're going to have to settle up with Russia, Ukraine. That's a disaster. I look at numbers every week, the number of people being killed in that war. People don't know, mostly soldiers now. But the towns have been obliterated. This was a Biden fiasco that that should have never happened. If we had a real president, if we had a president that knew what he was doing, Russia would have never, ever gone in. But they did go in, and we have a mess. The cities are all blown up. The people have largely left. And the soldiers are killing each other at levels that haven't been seen since the Second World War. So we'll have to get that one straightened out, too. That's a tough one. Much tougher than it would have been before it started, I can tell you that. The deal could have been made just by an average deal maker. Deal could have been made on that. So thank you all for coming. We'll take a couple of questions. Yeah. Go ahead, please.
President, thank you. Wanted to touch on the world on fire that you mentioned, but let's start, if we could, with your references to Greenland and the Panama Canal, so forth. Can you assure the world that as you try to get control of these areas, you are not going to use military or economic coercion?
No.
And can you tell us a little bit about what your plan is? Are you going to negotiate a new treaty? Are you going to ask the Canadians to hold the vote? What is the strategy?
Yeah, I can't assure you, you're talking about Panama and Greenland. No, I can't assure you on either of those two. But I can say this, we need them for economic security. The Panama Canal was built for our military. I'm not going to commit to that now. It might be that you'll have to do something. Look, the Panama Canal is vital to our country. It's being operated by China. China. And we gave the Panama Canal to Panama. We didn't give it to China. And they've abused it. They've abused that gift. It should have never been made, by the way. Giving the Panama Canal is why Jimmy Carter... But if you remember, and nobody wants to talk about the Panama Canal now because, you know, it's inappropriate, I guess, but because it's a bad part of the Carter legacy. But he was a good man. Look, he was a good man. I knew him a little bit, and he was a very fine person. But that was a big mistake. Giving the Panama Canal to Panama was a very big mistake. We lost 38,000 people. It cost us the equivalent of $1 trillion, maybe more than that. Probably the most expensive. They say it was the most expensive structure, if we call it a structure, which I guess you can, ever built. And giving that away was a horrible thing. And I believe that's why Jimmy Carter lost the election, even more so than the hostages. Those two things.
If I could follow up on Ukraine and Iran, the two negotiations you'll be heading into. On Ukraine, you said just before it's a lot more complicated now.
Much more complicated.
Do you believe...
Because it would have never started.
Right, but it has started.
Well, not only started, the cities are largely knocked down.
So you've got what you've got. At this point, to hold on to leverage in dealing with President Putin, would you make a commitment to the Ukrainians that you will keep supporting them during the negotiations?
Well, I wouldn't tell you
And
if that were the
would you
case.
make a commitment to provide a security guarantee if they do enter into a armistice or a ceasefire along the lines that the French and the Germans?
So, a big part of the problem was Russia for many, many years, long before Putin said you could never have NATO involved with Ukraine. Now, they've said that that's been like written in stone. And somewhere along the line, Biden said, no, they should be able to join NATO. Well, then Russia has somebody right on their doorstep, and I could understand their feeling about that. But there were a lot of mistakes made in that negotiation. And when I heard the way that Biden was negotiating, I said, you're going to end up in a war. And it turned out to be a very bad war. And it could escalate. That war could escalate to be much worse than it is right now.
They can never join NATO.
Well, my view is that it was always understood. In fact, I believe that they had a deal and then Biden broke it. They had a deal which would have been a satisfactory deal to Ukraine and everybody else, but that Biden said, no, you have to be able to join NATO. And that's always been, and nobody knows more about NATO than I. Years ago when I first started this, I didn't know too much about NATO, but I got it right anyway. I said, they're taking advantage. I'm the one that got, and the secretary.
Hello, Miss Fox. We're watching some of Trump's speech. I got tea going. Grab yourself a tea. Relax. I don't know how long this will be. I'm cranky. I'm thirsty and had a bad day. I don't know. Just watch it. Sorry, I just watched a kid on YouTube come walking up to his parents, said he had a hard day at school. He's cranky and tired. He's going to relax. You don't want to wrestle. You don't want to fight and play army or nothing. He's had a stressful day.
Smaller, but they're a similar size economy as the United States when you add them up. And yet Europe is in for a small fraction of the number the United States is in. Now, Biden could have called them up during the term. That's what I did. I said, you have to pay your bills. And they all, one stood up. I won't say who, you'll probably have it because the papers, the media hated to report on it. But a prime minister stood up from a country, a famous meeting of 28 nations with no press, no anybody in the room. He stood up. He says, does that mean if we don't pay our bill, and at that point it was 2%, it should be 5%. It should be 5%, not 2%. But at that point it was 2%, but many people didn't pay. Some people didn't pay anything, but many people were way, including Germany. Germany was at less than 1%. Well, I think NATO should have 5%, yeah. Well, you can't do it at 2%. I mean, at 2%, every country, if you're going to have a country in a regular military, you're at 4%. I think they should be, they're in dangerous territory. I think they can all afford it, but they should be at 5%, not 2%. I'm the one that got them to pay 2%. But a gentleman stood up, a prime minister stood up, and he said to me, sir, could I ask you a question? You're saying we have to pay our bills. If we don't pay our bills, will the United States protect us from Russia? I said, if you don't pay, you mean you're delinquent? He said, yes. He said, if you're delinquent, we will not protect you. I took a lot of heat. Although it was somewhat closed door, I took a lot of heat from the media. And you know what happened? The money started pouring in. That's why NATO has money. And the Secretary General said it was the most incredible thing he had ever seen in a negotiation. Now, if I would have said, yes, we will, nobody would have paid. If I would have loved to say, yes, we'll protect you even if you don't pay. But that's not the way life works.
It's supposed to work that way.
You said on your first day of office, you're going to pardon January 6th defendants. Are you planning?
I mean, it's supposed to work that way. NATO is supposed to be brothers all together. everybody falls on hard times. You know when America falls on hard times? Do you see other countries sending us billions of dollars? No, you don't, right? Do I see President Trump on here saying, "Oh, well, Russia just sent us 300 billion to help us keep our country up," or China sent, or something? No, no. Why are we always sending? Let me tell you why. They're the bosses of all bosses. These other countries, they must be. Why are we always laying down when we should be picking up? I can't deal with this. Let's continue. My tea's done. I'm gonna have my tea and calm down.
Planning to pardon.
In different names and different forms and shapes for 2,000 years. Those people that went in are from Turkey. And President Erdogan is a friend of mine. He's a guy I like, respect. I think he respects me also. He's the one that didn't go after certain people after I requested that he not. You know who I'm talking about? The Kurds. I don't know how long that's going to, because they're natural enemies. They hate each other. But he didn't do that yet. And he didn't do it in the past also. He started, and I said, please don't do that, and he didn't do it. So, but if you look at what happened with Syria, Russia was weakened, Iran was weakened, and he's a very smart guy. And he sent his people in there through different forms and different names, and they went in and they took over, and that's the way it is.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you. Do you have concerns about HTS taking control of
By the way, I
Syria at this
have
point?
the envoy here. Is that in the back? Standing with my son, Eric, is Steve Witkoff, who's just got back from the Middle East, and he's done a fantastic job. He's a great deal maker. I said, what we need there is a deal maker, because nobody makes a deal. We have people that understand where the rivers are and where the meets and bounds are, but they can't talk. They can't make deals. Steve.
I do want to take a time out, a minute, to wish Pope Francis a speedy recovery, but it don't look good. So let's take a minute of silence for that. All right. Amen. All right, so let's get back to Trump talking. He's sporting the purple tie tonight. So you people out there who read into things, I don't know, some of you probably, it's a code. It's a code. I don't know. Like we ain't got enough to deal with. Yes, we know about codes.
Us sort of what's delayed it. That's no point to be negative in any way. But I think it's the president, his stature, what he said he expects, the red lines he's put out there. That's driving this negotiation. I'm going back probably either this evening or tomorrow night.
Are you confident there'll be a deal before January 20th, or is that something that's likely to happen? If there's a deal even at all? We've been hearing this now for the better part of.
I know. I would say
They better be.
right. I would say that the president is exasperated. I don't want to talk for him, but look, I don't know anyone who delegates better than President Trump. He gives us a lot of authority to speak on his behalf, and he exhorts us to speak emphatically. And emphatically means you better do this, because the alternative.
Do you think they're waiting for President Trump to take office?
No, I think they heard him loud and clear. better get done by the inaugural.
But when you say all hell will be
Before I
paid,
take
or
office.
that all hell must be paid if they
Right.
don't release the
You know what that
hostages.
means, don't you?
Well-
Do I have to define it for you? Look, all
No, I know
hell
you're not
will
gonna
break out.
telegraph
If those hostages aren't back, I don't want to hurt your negotiation.
All right, so this is old. This is old footage, right? That, and the reason I'm running this is because I want to prove to this world what we are going through. This is so old of footage that they keep playing over and over and over and over again. Propaganda. And he is right. We've seen this in World War II, World War I. Constantly running the same thing. And that's what some of these countries did back then. So, what do I think of the whole thing? I don't know. We got to get it together as a country. And, we got things within. We got skeletons within our own closets in this country. That is very hard to get over. And I'm going to be honest with these people in Jesus' name. I'm going to be honest. We might be suffering from some curse, something, from something maybe we did in the past. And that might have upset thy God Almighty. Oh my God, did you guys just hear that? Something's creaking in my apartment again. So we're not, I'm not going to be honest with these people. America's not angels. We, I believe, has stepped over the line. Way too many lines for way too long. And I do believe we did bad. We had to do bad to cover up the bad. And it just kept going. And this is where you got to step back and you say, enough's enough. Right? We're not innocent. We did things that well, I shouldn't say we, the government did things, whether it was to keep them in power, cover something up, or save actually humanity or the world. I'm not sure. I don't have all the answers. So that's just my opinion. And we feel the hate, right? We feel the hate here. We can feel it. We can sense it. It's floating around. Vampire. Some people are saying it's a vampire. Some kind of a thing or something. And if it is true, whew, it is going to get ugly, folks. Right? It might. It just might. So, what do? I don't know. Turn it over to God's hand, keep peace. And we'll be able to tell now where the evil is because it'll start popping off. It's already popping. Trump today said, "Oh, we're at peace. The war's at a standstill right now and ceasefire, and we're at peace now. There is no, we're at peace." And boom, it pops off in America. Stuff going crazy and everything. I'm glad that the war has stopped somewhere else, but now we could track the evil. Where's the next altercation going to pop off? Right? Where's the next war going to happen? Where's the next madness, crazy man going to pop up? We don't know. Nobody does. I wish we did know, but we don't. Why? We don't have enough surveillance. We just don't have enough surveillance. to surveil the whole world. It can be done, at least in America. We can surveil all of America and all our neighborhoods. Just hovering drone UFOs that just they scan the air back and forth, back and forth, back and forth in a grid, just looking for something that happens, something bad. A kid walks away from his backyard and walks down the street, disappears. Thank God we had that surveillance drone in the area, and oop, it picked him up. There he is, right? Numerous things, right? There was a murder yesterday, right? Or whatever. There's a murder at this address. Boom, the drone goes there and hovers and starts surveilling the area for anything. I mean, is it possible to do? It is possible to do. Very possible. I don't agree with Mr. Trump and windmills saying that they're a waste of money. They're not. You're I mean, if you got batteries to store the power, you know, alternative energy, you got to have a backup. If you don't have a backup plan, it's like the military. I keep telling these people, you know how many, you know how many plans the military got to A, B, and C and D go bad? They got a whole alphabet of backups. And that's the way our civilians should be. That's the way our company should be is we need backup, right? You want to get rid of all the landlines. And what happens one day you wake up, a whole bunch of asteroids come through and take out all the satellites, and you got no radio towers, you got no signal, you got nothing. Be 5 years, maybe 10 before we can build enough satellites to get everything back up and running again. You know, EPI goes off and takes out all the cell towers and everything. You got to have landlines. They're underground, they're protected and insulated. I don't know why they want to get rid of them. I take it as it's a strategy move to get away, to do away with the old phone lines. Because if everything goes digital, like there's like, you know, signals or whatever, radio signals, them could be jammed. And with the right frequency or radiation from the sun or some kind of thing, that can be taken out. Then you got none. You got nothing. I don't know why they're not using their heads. Windmills, you might need the power. They might be having a problem with a battery. The next thing would be magnetic motors, which I think would be a genius ideal. Magnetic motors, and they constantly run. They run off of their own energy. It just runs. It's a never ending, as long as that magnet stays magnetic. And even after it goes unmagnetic, you can remagnetic it. So, do I think it's a good motor system for backup power in case the grids went down and everything? Yes. Magnetic? Sure. But that can be tampered with. So, you got to have backups. Your coal energy plants go down, explodes, and you got a crater in the ground, and now you got to have backup, folks. We can't depend on everything. You go to the moon, you got 50 different backups. You get in a jet plane, you got You got backup scenarios in case something goes wrong. You got to dump your full fuel and look for somewhere safe so you don't end up in a neighborhood or something, or a school or something. So the whole windmills, if is it making energy? If it's making energy and people are complaining about it, then shut them down. But don't get rid of them. Shut them down, making them enable. Put quick jacks on it to disconnect the power. But don't get rid of them, because if shit goes bad, them windmills will actually be the only thing power or getting any kind of power. You got gasoline, I mean, you just, I don't know. And I don't think we should be rebuilding anything. You know how much it would cost us to build Ukraine back with all the ancient buildings and all the. Bro, are you kidding me? Come on, man. We ain't got that kind of money. We can't even feed our own families. This is why America should not get into wars if you ain't prepared for the American people to rebuild their whole country out of your pocket. It's one thing to defend. It's another just to go out and do shit just to do it. And, you know, these are grown men. You know what's the problem? Their egos. They're all grown men. They're rich, powerful. No one's ever going to take your money away. Can't you just run the country? No, no. Power, greed, gluttons, gluttons. You know how much the church brings in? Lord, forgive me, but you know your house has been tainted since Jesus left. You know how much money they bring in? Do you know how much money they collected to rebuild the church? God bless in Jesus' name, it got rebuilt. But they can't. I don't understand it. Control, gluttons, powers, kings. Kings, history repeats itself over and over again, man, until you break that chain. These people can't get through their heads that white men were slaves. They just can't get it through their head. Why? Because it's taking money away from them. What do you think if all the American white boys here stood up and said, we were slaves, our ancestors were slaves? I'm part Indian too. I'm going to come at you with a double tomahawk. Right? We got none. Nothing. We had something. But being that we worked our whole lives and our body and mind broke down, now we got nothing. And now they want to make sure we got nothing. And they're robbing us blind. You know, if I would have walked into that Oval Office and stole $2,700 trillion, we'd all be in prison. Why ain't these people in prison? Why do they get out? Here's the thing. They work for me. And for some reason, when I put these jokers in this job title, this position, they automatically think I work for them. And you got to back up, Jack. What you see on this earth was created from thy people, by the people, for the people. I would never do that, though, because they'd kill me. They already did, but it's always been the people's money. It ain't even legal. I mean, I don't want to bring up my people's paperwork and everything right now because our country's going through a very bad time. If any of my nationalities can help this country, I'll do it. But you got to know when to say enough is enough, sir. Country, people. I can't believe this. We obeyed the law. We could have went out and destroyed this whole world and took over everything. Elon would have been flying bottle rockets. We didn't. Why didn't we? Everything could have shut down. They don't even understand. They know nothing. They think they created it. It wasn't even their scientists that created it. They couldn't build an RC model and fly it. They can't even fly a drone. They can't even build a battleship. They can think it, but they ain't never. Let me tell you why I like Howard Hughes so much. Because Howard Hughes could disassemble a plane by himself. He could create it and build it by himself. Then the man climbed in it and flew it himself. And you probably won't ever meet another Howard Hughes. And that's no joke. Mr. Howard Hughes would create a plane in his mind. He would build the parts. He owned the parts. He ran the machines. He could run every machine in his tool die company. He had massive amounts of tools that would make it. He created it himself with his own hands. And then flew it. We probably won't see another Howard Hughes for a while. And I can guarantee you right now, Elon don't build stuff. He's a creator. But Howard Hughes and Elon Musk are two different totally people. Howard Hughes was a brain. Everything he's seen, and he created things for hospitals, for doctors, to save people. All the time, hospital beds, respirators, all that stuff was Hughes Corporated. One of the biggest powerhouses on earth at that time. And he was a cocky son of a gun. It's the people's. Congress, Senate, Mr. Trump, why don't you guys get in front of the TV and ask the people, what do you guys want to do? We'll vote on it. What do the American people want to do? I don't think one military base should have been sold to nobody until they got in front of the TV and said, we are selling this people's land, which is the military. And do you want to sell it? What do you want to do with it? Why? Because it's the people's. They wouldn't have a country without our slave asses. Excuse my language, Lord. forgive me, Jesus. If it wasn't for the people building it, paying taxes, I do believe we should get rid of property tax. This federal tax, no, you got to keep federal tax. You got to keep state tax. Get rid of property tax. These people are losing their homes. The banks love it. IRS loves it. You love these laws, don't you, IRS? Don't you, the banks? Well, property tax. You don't pay your property tax, you just lost your property. They love it. And these son of a bitches are so, excuse my language, Lord, forgive me. These companies are so good, they will harass the shit out of you. You think it's somebody else, and it ain't. It's the bank. Drive you absolutely crazy. Miss that one payment on that land. Default on it, you know, it's gone. Dang mortgage companies do the same thing. Drive you crazy. Your world goes upside down. You start missing house payments, and then that's when it starts. The interest. Now we got them. There comes the interest on the late payments, and here comes after 2 months the phone calls. We're going to have to repossess your house. Whole system designed just to keep us nothing but poorer than a poor ass me. These people are so rich they'll steal my ideals, and within 2 days it's already up and function, and they got a patent on it, and they're on their way to a billionaire. Half the stuff they're using is old patents that were sitting on the shelves that they bought from the military because they were sitting around. You can't have a motor that runs on water. There's no money in that for these gas companies. And are there motors that run? There's motors that have been put on the shelf that would shock your minds. Why is this not in public? Well, because then your energy companies would be going crazy. You don't want to get 200 miles on a gallon of gas, do you? No. You crazy? Our gas will go down. The volume of our gas will be. If the truth came out and we're getting 200 miles off a gallon of gas, they would just, you know what they do? Raise the prices of gas to $50 a gallon. Madness. Your whole system was created on money, power, and it destroyed this whole world. I wouldn't doubt it if it's the next Sodom and Gomorrah. Just a system based on what everything Jesus said. And who killed Jesus? The government. The people's power to be. But I think Jesus was telling us, give to the government what's the government. Give to God what's God, because I think he knew they'll kill all those son of a. To get their dough. What are they going to do when they get rid of the penny? Right? What are these stores going to do? Well, it's obvious. You got to keep the penny in circulation. Just stop making them. You know how many pennies are in circulation? What are you going to do? Collect them all? Right? You're going to collect them. I mean, people got 55-gallon drums of it sitting around. You know, once you stop making them, you do know what's going to happen to the penny, don't you? The value's going to go up. You can't get this penny no more. This penny just turned into $30 million because that's the way these people think. car that you could buy off of the line brand new with a 440 or a 455 high output motor for $5,000. You're paying 100,000, 200, a million. These people are nuts, just gone nuts. You know, China already said they'd pump out the whole line of the old cars, Cudas and everything. Right? They just call it the Cuda Oda. Yeah, they could. Why not? Probably do it for $1,000. We're way behind on everything. I don't know how this happened. Did we just wake up one day and just was it a witch? Was it the devil? We're starting to put the dots together, Mr. Trump, Pentagon. And I'm sitting here going, you know, we're not bullies, but we can wipe this whole thing. We make a couple friends with a couple high-powered countries. We make a couple calls, and it all just goes away. What are we doing? It's got to be the devil. All power goes to Jesus, God Almighty, King of Kings. Nobody is above God. Nobody is above the law. Nobody. Nobody is above the tax man. If you're going to tax the weak, the poor, you're going to have to tax the rich, because no one is above the law. And no one is greater than God Almighty. And I hate to say it, America, if you want us to open the books and show you the proof that these people are paying to their churches, but it's going to kill or fund wars. They might not know it because they think it's going to feed and save a life, but it ain't. Just like the $50 million worth of condoms we sent to stop disease. The same disease that God Almighty talked about in the Bible, bestiality and drugs transferred and gay people and stuff, trying to save people's lives, but it don't matter. What do we do? Well, rebuild. Break it down, overcome, adapt. It's the only thing we can do. That's it. You can't seize everything, Mr. Trump. You can't put a hold on everything. You can't deny the American people. You made your point. We know. We've been suckers for way too long. Thank you for pointing that out, Mr. President. But we just can't stop poor people and people that are disabled and mental people and all that. Medication they need, operations, or payments that to live in a government-funded house or apartment. Now you'd be creating the disaster, Mr. Trump. These people would have to leave their homes. I would have to leave this apartment. I'd have to live in the street. I'd have to do things I don't want to do to make $1. Just make a bologna sandwich. They put us into sin. When we abide by the laws, we don't hurt people. We stay home when they say stay home, lock down, lock down. You know, get your biological suits on, get your air mat, make sure you got all your pills and everything and your iodine. And And we sit home by the TV, like, twiddling our thumbs and, oh, Jesus, I hope we make it. What is going, people are actually out creating the sickness, spreading it. We don't have to listen to you. It's our freedoms of America. The same people that complain about their Constitution rights taken away are the same ones that are out spreading the disease, the madness, the ones that cannot cooperate, cannot overcome, cannot adapt, cannot be a team. These are the eyes that are not in the team. Creating mosquitoes to kill us, biological mosquitoes and madness. Only I could have created this on a movie screen. They live it in real life, labs that we found. Way after all this CV, and it's this country, it's that country, it's every country, everywhere. Madmen. Geez, by now you think they'd have a cure for everything. I mean, I've gone through. They think I was on a boat yesterday and just got off. Here I am from I just come here. Going to venir. 50 some years I've been hearing there's a cure for cancer right around the corner. And it's over with. It's all done. You'll wake up tomorrow and just take a pill and all your cancer will be gone. Yeah. Right. Come election time, we need some more money. How much? Oh, about 200 billion. But we'll have it cured by 4045. Oh, that sounds great. Yeah, we're suckers. Way too long. Way too long. Now I know why all the veterans were crying in the VA hospitals and all these veterans on TV crying. How could this be happening to our grandchildren? That's pretty easy if you try, from what Mr. John Lennon said. Hell, we got more Britons over here than Britons got over there. So who knows? I mean, ain't it the truth? Ain't it the truth? Ain't it the truth? We got more people from other countries here. We're all aliens. I don't know why we don't change the name from America to Sharaka Maka Laka Chaka Wuka Wuka Waka Aya Laka Lua London, or whatever it is. I don't know. And this is what they said. They said, you got too many people from two different countries, from way too many different countries that live in a culture that they're used to. That's why and you got them all mixed together, and everybody wants to be king. Everybody wants their own nation in a country already that exists. That was hijacked from my people. You people are nuts. You know why I am the way I am? Is because your governments, your religions, your society, your race wars, you ain't nothing unless you got $1 billion in the bank. You ain't nothing if you ain't got $1 million in the bank. You ain't nothing unless you kill somebody. You ain't a man unless you impregnate 50 women and pay for all their things. No matter what you got to do, how many throats you got to cut, how many people you got to kill. Most of these people you're watching on this whole thing are professional hitmen, killers, and hackers. Your world is hell. And I don't want no part of it. You can't turn on the TV or the YouTube or anything without madness 24/7. These people know not of MK Ultra. They know not of nothing of mind control. They know nothing of alchemy. They know nothing about anything unless they ever experienced it or watched someone go through it. So these people have no idea what MK Ultra is. They have no idea what brainwashing is. They have no idea how to break a man down in the military and civilian life. And it's been going on for thousands and 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 thousands of years. And you still, you idiot humans, have not figured out to have peace and be one. They're not even worried about their own earth. It's a slap in the face to our Native American people. They don't even know when their own earth is screaming out. It's going to be over soon if things don't change. You know, I told these people, we could have made our own magnetic force right here on Earth using Tesla's equipment. We could cool the Earth, the core, not the atmosphere, the core. And we can heat it up if we want to. They don't care. They just think it'll go on forever. We show them other planets. Yes, this planet had life, thrived, human life. What is it now? What do you see? Just dirt and rock. And that's what this earth will be one day. They can't understand it. Our souls will live forever. This is true. In heaven with Jesus. But this earth won't. Oh, I'm not upset. I'm just talking. My apologies if you think you're upset. I'm not. I'm having a good time. I'm talking, making content, scripting. I'm trying to open people's eyes. They just think it's going to go on forever. Yeah, most of these people never did a hard day's work in their life. They don't know what it's like to you wake up in the morning and not know how you're going to eat and what you're going to do. And when these people that have had homes, cars, a place to lay their weary heads, don't have that no more, watch how the drugs skyrocket. Because that's what drives them to drugs. Why? Because I used to be one. When you lose your whole life, you're going to turn to alcohol. You're going to turn to something. You're also going to turn to God. But you're going to go crazy. And I didn't even have a quarter of what these people had. And I went nuts. Completely nuts. These people will go crazy. The banks fold, everything folds. You'll see massive chaos. Massive groups teaming up to each other. Massive drugs, massive stuff, massive suicide, massive. You're taking away their souls, their whole life. What life they got. What life they got. I'd hate to be the man to make that call. I'd hate to be the man to make that call. I wouldn't do it. I'd resign right there. And I'm not telling my American people that they got nothing. Get out of your houses. Banks folding. We're going into depression. I ain't telling my people that when this could have been stopped 100 years ago. No, I'm not telling them. Ain't no way. I quit. Done. There ain't no way. I'm going to tell the working man it's all over. I ain't, nope. Nope. Mm-mm. It can't be over. We'll just have to, we're just going to have to rebuild, revamp. We're just going to have to overcome it and adapt. But I ain't saying that. I hope it never comes to that. I hope there's powers to be within the government that these people created to stop it all. Get it back to where it's going. Make friends with these companies. Get the prices down. Bust the balls of the banker. Make them give them no money down loans. Now, these people are so dumb, man. I could have had hundreds of thousands in homes around here. Bringing money in for the bank. No, it wouldn't have been no $1,200 mortgage, you know. But there would have been money coming in, which you didn't have at all, you idiots. Now you got dilapidated houses, people complaining, paid $150,000 for a shed. I got to replace the roof and carpet and paint the whole thing. Well, that's inflation, baby. That's because some bank thinks it's worth $1 million and it's a shithole. Yep. Powers to be is the blame, folks. No one else. We know it ain't Jesus. We know it's not Jesus doing it. The jig is up. We know it's not Jesus choking us. The fake Messiah, maybe, but it ain't our thy God Almighty King of Kings. It's thy fake ass Satan worshipers. Excuse my language, I'm being trespassed. I'm not myself right now. Oh, there went little Debbie. I spooked her. That's all right, Deb. I know this is too much for you. Yo, what's up there, Beefaroni Valdez? Well, Mr. Trump, we put it in your hands. It's in your hands. I'll fill you in on the Delphi case and the madness we're going through in Indiana and the breakdown of the justice system and with the Delphi case, or a lot of stuff going on. I don't know if you know any of these dudes or anything, but supposedly, I don't know, a bunch of crazy bikers or Odinist or something, pedo ring or something, Freemasons. You got the whole thing. You got all the players right here in this whole little Delphi thing. Little kids dying and stuff. It's just unbelievable. Threats of they're going to take everything from me if I don't shut up. And death threats, killing people, and all. It's just madness. Complete madness. But we do hope that Pope Francis gets some rest, and he's got a long struggle in front of him. God bless him. All right, folks. So there you go. That's the whole thing with the Trump thing. Why didn't we do this? Why did we do that? from now on, anything being sold in America that is we the people bought, we want to know who sold it, who sold it, where'd the money go, and why didn't we vote on it first? I don't know who's so crazy to get away with to sell military bases. Is this some kind of strategic military move by somebody that's come into our country? I don't know. But there shouldn't have been one piece of equipment sold. There shouldn't have been one piece of land sold without the people's okay first. That's like me going into the Federal Bureau or the Treasury and just saying, guess what? I own this whole thing. Lock it down. Bring in a couple Apaches, put them out front with some of them tanks, and give me a couple platoons up here. Surround this place. Take out anything that even comes around here. You know, we could have done that 50 times over. You know that. I hope you know that. But we ain't bullies. And we're not also dumb. So I'm sorry, folks. I can't shut the government down and I can't do anything. You got a problem? Pump out some more money. You countries out there or states that belong to America and you're talking about leaving America, you buy your own military, print your own money, establish your own government, whatever you're going to do. I don't know. It's a free-for-all, I guess. Nobody really cares anymore because he who sits on the most deadliest thing in the world that's been tucked away on the shelves, that wasn't ready because of technology, will control everything. Who that gentleman is, well, that's for you folks to find out. If, and only if, these idiots didn't try to sell it. But thank God we got it under lock and key. Now, ladies and gentlemen, it is a zoo, it's a circus. You can hope in one hand and you can crap in the other. How's it going to turn out? Who knows? The only buddy that knows, the only one is God. And this country needs him. Now, you folks have a good day. Well, good night. God bless. And how come when you discuss, why are these children in my chat? Every time you have a discussion or you have an adult conversation or your opinion, these people think you're having a beef with something. Little do they know, they're no ones. They're nobodies. They're just like me. They're nobodies. They just haven't figured it out yet, I guess. I don't know. But you kids have a great night. Just you go out, have a great night. Don't pay any attention to me. I don't know. We're gonna create some new digital money for tomorrow. It'll be out on the Wall Street pretty soon. What is it? It's just a piece of paper, a digital coin or something. Because I can. Because I can create my own money. That's why. That's why. Because I can create my own digital money. I'm sorry, folks. I'm going to put the government out of business. Right? Kramer coin. Why not? You folks have a great night. Be safe. What a mess. I don't want nothing to do with it. I didn't create it. It was here before I was born on this earth. It has nothing to do with my family. We contributed to nothing. I didn't own no slaves, but I was a slave. God bless everybody. I don't know anything about white privilege. I don't know anything about nothing because we're white and we ain't got no rights from what these people are saying. We ain't got nothing. But somehow, some way, I do believe we will overcome. And this tragedy will be one of our greatest points in the world and greatest maneuvers, whatever you want to call it, deals, whatever, for all races. For all mankind and women. Good night.